Hey everyone, what's up? My name is James and I just wanted to give a very quick tip for the QC. So we're now on CorOS 2.1.0 and one of the new additions in this firmware is a volume block. This is something that has been glaringly missing in my opinion in the past few revisions of firmware. You would use a gain block and configure an expression pedal. So now we do have a volume block and so essentially every time you have a volume block, in order for you to make it work, you need an expression pedal. So expression pedals are connected to the QC with a TRS cable, and every time you connect a new expression pedal you need to calibrate it. So hit calibrate, and all you gotta make sure is that when you put the pedal all the way down, it's at 0, all the way up, it's at 1. So the moment you see that the full treble is there, you just hit save, and there we go, you're done with configuring the expression pedal. Right, so we're coming back to the volume block now. I'm just going to talk through what's in the block, how to use it, where to place it, how to configure it. So here, well, there's level and there's curve. Level is volume, curve refers to the taper of the pedal. Essentially, there are two kinds. The first one you see there is logarithmic. I'm just going to say log for short, and linear. So it's math, but if you've seen the graphs before, linear is a straight line, log is a curve. So strictly speaking, this is a matter of personal preference. I definitely prefer to have a log volume pedal. Majority of volume pedals that are used are log pedals. And what I use my volume pedal for primarily is volume up all the way, volume down, and also volume swells. So for this use case, to me, the log curve actually feels the best. It's the most proportionate or level way of doing things, in my opinion. If you choose linear, it will actually feel like the majority of the change happens in the first maybe 30% of when you're moving the pedal, and in the remainder of the travel, the changes become very minute. I know this sounds a little bit counterintuitive, especially when you look at the graphs, but this just has to do with how our ears perceive the changes in volume. Alright, so coming back to the placement of the volume pedal, you would have, three different kinds of people. People who want the volume pedal in front, so the very first thing, or the very last thing in the chain, or somewhere in the middle of the chain. I fall into the last category. To me, there's no point having the volume pedal at the start of the chain because that's essentially what your guitar volume does. And beyond that, it also affects the gain staging that you have running. So if your volume pedal is first in the line and as you reduce that volume, it affects how the rest of the pedals react to the incoming gain, basically. So I won't have it at the end as well, because if it's at the end, when you try to do volume swells, you will also cut off the trails from the delay and the reverb, and that's just not really what you want because it becomes very choppy and not smooth, basically. So I have the volume pedal after gain and before time-based effects, and yeah, to me that's just where it sits best. Doesn't affect the gain. And as I'm doing volume swells, I will still have all the trails for the delay and the reverb. None of that gets cut off. Right, so coming back to the block, if you're not familiar with the QC, actually it seems like every time you use it, you have to go through this motion to assign the expression pedal, assign that to level, check that it's going all the way down and all the way up. Okay, save it, and yeah, I mean, now it's set up and it's good to go. But it seems like every time you do this, so if I'm going to remove this from the chain and add the volume block back, you see that it doesn't save by default the configuration that I had. So I'm just going to redo that and add the expression pedal. Let's double check. Yep, it's working fine. And the next thing I'm going to do is actually hit the context menu again, and select this option that says set parameters as defaults. So basically what this means is that the next time that I remove the volume pedal, or the next time I add the volume pedal, the default settings are just going to be remembered. So it will come straight away set up with the expression pedal, and also it will remember the fact that I chose the log curve. This is something that's actually really useful. You can use this on any block on the QC. The challenge is that this doesn't preserve or doesn't save the state, the bypass state of the block. So I can't really think of a use case where someone would need to assign the volume pedal to a stomp. So yeah, it would be nice, if in a later revision of the firmware set parameters of as default also remembers the save state. Yeah, well, that's pretty much it about the volume block. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to just leave a comment below, and wherever I can, I will respond and try to help you out with the QC. Not, that's about it. Yeah, well, I hope this helps. Take care.